How are your life patterns and the growth of a cedar tree similar? Let's talk about it. Welcome to Soul Truth Alchemy. My name is Brian. I'm a coach. I'm a ceremonial tattoo artist and a light worker. And on this channel, we talk about life, transformation, intuition, and how to live a purposeful life. So I'm super glad you're here today. I want to talk about something very important to me, something that's part of my journey right now and part of the journey of many people. So, how are your life patterns and those of a cedar tree similar? Nature grows off of patterns and fractals. So, what that means is that there are patterns all around us. And a tree, for example, a cedar tree, if you look at it, the leaf, the way it branches off on a leaf is similar to how the branch branches off from the tree. And then when the tree grows super tall, the tree ends up looking like a very large version of the leaf. There's this self-similar repeating pattern to trees and to many, almost all life forms on Earth. There is a pattern and it's encoded into the DNA, and that is how the life form grows. It has a very simple pattern and it just keeps repeating that because it works. This is how things work in this world. And one thing that I've learned to accept in my life is that I'm a pattern being. I like routines. I get into a pattern and I find that it works for me, so I just keep doing that pattern either consciously or unconsciously. And so, similar to a cedar tree, when I am growing in a certain pattern, if that pattern seems to work well enough, I'll just keep doing that pattern, like I said, consciously or unconsciously. So, in that way, you're similar to a cedar tree. Now, the way that humans are different than every other life form is that we can actually choose how to grow. We can choose how to rewrite this pattern at any point. You could choose right now to stop every pattern in your life and do something different. It might not be easy, but you could choose that if you wanted to. So that's what this video is about today. I want to talk about patterns and how to just work with them, how to change them, and how to create the life that you really want. So in my previous video, I talked about noticing, pausing, and choosing, that three-part process of how to get back on track, back into alignment with your intuition, with what it is that you actually want to create. So in today's video, we're going to explore how this plays out in life, and how these patterns can either serve us or how they can actually not serve us and be detrimental to our becoming of who we actually are. So how do these patterns start? Well, like any fractal, like any self-repeating pattern, and that's all a fractal is a pattern that you zoom in, it looks the same. You zoom out, it looks the same. The micro resembles the macro. And like many other life forms, we start very small. We start as a baby. We are raised by our parents, by society, by our caregivers, whoever it is that raised you. And in that raising, we express ourselves, and through input from the world, we change our behaviors. We express some behaviors, we suppress others. And this pattern of some behaviors happening and some others being suppressed gets coded into our nervous system and our beliefs about who we are. So these patterns are set, and then as we grow older, these patterns continue. We interact with the world in the same way, more or less, and these patterns continue. And so we end up getting the same results over and over again. And it's not exactly the same. It might be slightly different person, different time, different place, different material outcome, but the way that we get to the outcome is more or less the same. So these patterns are pretty important. What happens in our childhood is pretty important to the rest of our life because it just unfolds continually over and over again into the same thing in the rest of our life, in the rest of our adulthood. And we can go on and on and on like this, being completely unconscious to our patterns, go through our entire life and then into our death, not ever really knowing and seeing the patterns of our life. This is okay. This is definitely one way to live. But I know for myself in my life, once I learned about patterns, which was not too long ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I started to understand that these patterns were very important and that they were all over my life. So I want to talk about one pattern that was very deeply rooted in my life for a long time. And that was the pattern of drinking when I was sad or feeling afraid in not just social situations, but even just by myself. So if this is something that you've engaged in, or you know somebody who has engaged in this, it's a very hard pattern to break. And indeed, there's 12-step programs. There's a lot of things of support structures of how to help people with alcoholism. But for me, what I noticed was that anytime that I was feeling afraid or sad about something happening in my life, and if I was with other people, I would gravitate towards alcohol because it was this substance that when I consumed it, it got rid of all of those difficult feelings for a little while. And then I could do things that I couldn't do before because I wasn't up against these difficult feelings. Those feelings were just kind of pushed aside. But ultimately what would happen is I would keep drinking, and then I would get myself in some situation that ended up resulting in me feeling the feelings of sadness and shame anyway. So I would repeat this pattern of drinking to avoid these feelings, and then I would end up feeling those feelings anyway as a result of the drinking. But I didn't know any other way to get out of this pattern. And for me, it's hard to say exactly where this pattern started when I was a young boy. But generally, it starts something as simple as being sad and being afraid is not acceptable. Maybe the caregivers that were with me did not help me process those feelings. So then those feelings they became a problem for me to find some other way to cope with. So I developed coping skills to deal with those emotions. And then later on in life, when I discover something powerful like alcohol, that immediately became a coping skill. And so this pattern was set in my life for a long time. And until about 4 years ago, that pattern had continued, causing lots of problems throughout my life. And then it was almost within like a month's time, that pattern was gone. I had became very aware of the pattern and had some big transformational things happen in my life. My dad passed away, and I was suddenly faced with all of this sadness and fear, and I had to find a way to process it differently. And so under that amount of pressure, my system just kind of like underwent a reset. And my body did not want to drink alcohol anymore. I felt almost like a poisoned reaction in my body. So I could not drink alcohol anymore. And my mind was like, I'm tired of this stuff. I'm tired of this pattern. And so there was a coherence of my body and my mind working together to end this pattern. And within a month, it was gone. And after that, I began processing my sadness and my fear through other means, through therapy, through men's circles, and giving voice to these vulnerable feelings and processing it with people around me. And that was not easy. I can feel it right now in my chest of how scary that is to share these feelings with people, because of that deeply rooted programming that when I'm feeling sadness and shame, it's a problem. It's a problem, and it's just not going to be easy to move through this. But I am very happy that pattern has changed, and that I can process these feelings out in the world with people in my circle. And so this pattern has brought me so much beauty in my life to make that simple change from coping with alcohol to now talking about my feelings with others around me. And not everybody can hear those feelings. Not everybody has done their own personal work to be able to hear the sadness and the fear of others and to hold space for that. But that is my mission, is to help people process these feelings and to move through them and to create new patterns in their life. So you, as the viewer of this video, I don't know you. I don't know all your patterns, but I want you to understand that it is possible to change those patterns. And once you become aware of them and you see the pattern repeating in your life, that is the first step. Like I said in my previous video, that is the noticing step. Oh, I'm noticing this pattern again. It's here again. And, where to go from there is sometimes not so clear. Even in my own journey right now, I see a pattern coming up and I have to feel into it and see if it's something I can handle on my own, or if I need to reach out for some support to change that pattern, whether it's a coach, whether it's a therapist, whether it's a group of people, a ceremony, a grief ceremony, a retreat. There are many avenues available for us to help shift these patterns and move into a new way of being. And so this is the gift of being human, is that we can change our growth patterns. We don't have to be stuck in a pattern. A cedar tree is a very beautiful life form. It has a pattern, it has a purpose, it's a very specific growth shape, and it's a marvelous tree. I love cedars so much. And so I can appreciate that, and I can see that in myself of like, this is one growth pattern that I have, and it might be beautiful and I don't have to do anything to change it. Or it might be a pattern that I see that is costing me in many areas of my life. And so when I'm ready to change that pattern, I can do that. I can change that pattern, change that fractal, and what happens after that, it may be beyond your wildest dreams of what is possible for you after you change whatever the pattern is. And so, again, I'm here. I'm a coach. This is what I do. This is what I'm working with, of how to help people move beyond their patterns, help people trust their intuition, to receive these messages, and to take action in their life to create the beauty that they want, that they see in their dreams and their visions. And a lot of it has to do with changing those patterns and overcoming these blockages. So thank you for watching this video today. I'm very grateful for you being here. If you want to work together, click the link in the description to book an appointment with me. I would love to talk with you and see what you're going through and see how we might work together to move on to the next, to get you moving on to the next step. That's what I want to see. I want to see everybody in this world noticing the patterns in their life, changing the ones that don't serve them, and becoming their strongest and highest selves, and giving their gifts to this world. We're waiting. I am waiting for your gifts. The world is waiting for my gifts. We're all here ready to do this. We just need a little bit of courage to take that step. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.